The sound of shattering glass echoed through the marble hallway of the Continental Hotel. Gasps filled the air as a young woman in a crisp-made uniform stumbled backward. Her tray crashing against the floor, juice splattering across the hem of a designer gown worth more than her entire year's salary. "Are you blind?" A sharp voice pierced the silence. "Do you know how much this dress costs?" Before anyone could intervene, Tonia Okafor, Lagos' newest socialite and the fiancé of billionaire real estate mogul Kelechi Daramola, raised her manicured hand and kicked the cleaner woman in the shin. The maid winced, clutching her leg, her wide brown eyes glistening. I'm sorry, madam. It was an accident. I didn't see." "Shut up," Tonia snapped. "You people are always full of excuses. Can't you see you're beneath us?" A tense hush swept through the elegant birthday brunch. Waiters froze. Guests exchanged nervous looks. Somewhere, a phone camera flashed, once, twice, recording every humiliating second. Tonia's fiancé, Kelechi, tall, charming, and immaculately dressed in a tailored white kaftan, stepped forward. "Tonia, enough," he said under his breath. "People are watching." "I don't care," she hissed. "Let them see what happens when incompetence meets class." The maid's trembling hand reached for her fallen tray. For a moment, her gaze lifted, meeting Tonia's. There was pain in her eyes, but beneath it, something else, something fierce. She said nothing. She only bowed her head, picked up the pieces, and limped toward the exit. No one knew her name. No one cared. But that woman would return. What would you do if you saw this happen right in front of you? Hit like if you've ever been betrayed, and comment below where you're watching from. Let's talk about it in the comments. 2 days later, Tonia stood before the full-length mirror in her penthouse suite overlooking Victoria Island. The city glimmered beneath her, Lagos Lagoon shimmering in the morning light, car horns blending with the hum of generators. She admired her reflection. Sleek black dress, gold hoop earrings, and a soft contour that highlighted her glowing caramel skin. Life was good. She had everything she'd ever wanted. Luxury, status, and Kelechi, the man every woman in Lagos wanted. Her phone buzzed. "Vanessa, girl, that video of you at the brunch is all over Insta. You're trending again." Tonia smirked. "Good. Let them talk." She was no stranger to scandal. The more people gossiped, the more her brand grew. After all, controversy sold. Kelechi, however, didn't find it amusing. When he arrived later that evening, his expression was tight, his tone colder than usual. "Tonia, do you even realize what you've done? That video's everywhere. Investors are calling me asking questions about your behavior." She rolled her eyes. It was just a cleaner. "Why is everyone acting like I slapped the president?" Kelechi exhaled slowly. "Because you did it in public. And you humiliated a woman who works for one of my companies." She froze. "Wait, what?" "That cleaner works for one of my facility management subsidiaries. Her name's Ikoyi. She's been with the company for years. My HR director says she's one of the best employees they have." For a moment, guilt flickered in Tonia's eyes, but she pushed it away. "Then she should have known better than to bump into me." Kelechi stared at her, disappointment clouding his eyes. "Sometimes I wonder what happened to the girl I met 2 years ago, the one who cared about people. That girl grew up." Tonia shot back. "She learned that kindness doesn't pay the bills." He turned away. "Maybe, but cruelty comes with a price too." The silence between them stretched long and heavy, broken only by the faint hum of the air conditioner. A week later, the scandal had cooled off. Tonia was busy preparing for her engagement party. A grand affair expected to draw politicians, celebrities, and the elite of Lagos society. The theme, golden love. Everything was gold. The drapes, the cutlery, the invitations. Even the champagne bottles shimmered. On the night of the party, the Daramola mansion was a palace of light. Tonia descended the grand staircase like royalty, her gold sequin gown hugging every curve. Cameras flashed. Applause filled the hall. She smiled, basking in attention, her arm entwined with Kelechi's. And then, just as she reached the bottom of the stairs, the door opened. A hush fell over the room. Kelechi's security team stood aside. allowing a woman in a simple emerald gown to step in. Her dark brown skin glowed under the chandelier. Her posture was regal, and her eyes, those same fierce, unflinching eyes from the hotel, locked onto Tonia. Tonia's smile faltered. Her heart stuttered. "You," she whispered. Kelechi's voice rang out, warm and proud. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you all to meet someone very special to me. The woman who raised me. My mother." The guests gasped. Tonia's knees nearly gave way. Her heart pounded. The world tilted. Because standing there, smiling gracefully at the stunned crowd, was the same woman she had kicked at the hotel. The poor cleaner woman. Nkechi Daramola. Tonia's mouth went dry. "You're your mother?" she stammered. Kelechi nodded, oblivious to her horror. "Yes." She insisted on keeping her work humble after my father passed. She said it kept her grounded. The crowd murmured admiringly. Tonia, frozen in place, forced a trembling smile as photographers captured every angle of her humiliation. Nkechi stepped closer, her eyes calm but piercing. "We meet again, my dear," she said softly, her voice carrying quiet authority. "You've come a long way from the hotel floor." Tonia tried to respond, but her throat closed up. She felt the weight of every eye in the room, every whispered comment, every phone camera raised. Her perfect image, the glamorous fiancé, the Lego socialite, was cracking before her eyes. Kelechi turned to her, still smiling. "Tonia, you met before?" She forced a nervous laugh. "Oh, yes, briefly. I didn't realize." "Ah." Nkechi interrupted gently. "Yes, we met." She was quite expressive. The words were polite, but the undertone was unmistakable, a quiet declaration of power. Tonia's skin prickled with shame. She looked around and realized that Vanessa, her gossip-loving friend, was already recording the reunion on her phone, the same way she had recorded the brunch, the same way the first humiliation began. Later that night, Tonia stood on the mansion's balcony, staring into the dark. The party was still roaring inside, but she couldn't hear the music anymore. Just the sound of her pulse pounding in her ears. Her phone buzzed again. "Vanessa, babe, do you realize who that woman is? Social media is about to explode. Everyone's calling you the cleaner kicker. Hashtag poor woman revenge is trending." Tonia felt her stomach twist. This wasn't just embarrassment. It was the beginning of destruction. She glanced back into the house and saw Kelechi laughing with his mother, the woman she had publicly humiliated. Nkechi's hand rested proudly on her son's shoulder, her eyes glancing toward Tonia with a look that was almost knowing, like she'd been waiting for this moment. Tonia didn't yet realize that this was just the beginning of her downfall, that every cruel word, every proud sneer, every public insult would come back to haunt her in ways she couldn't imagine. Because Nkechi Daramola wasn't just a cleaner. She was a mother with a long memory, and the quiet kind of power that could ruin empires. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment your thoughts on this betrayal below. Do you think Tonia deserves what's coming? The morning after the engagement party, Lagos woke up buzzing, not with traffic, but with gossip. Every blog headline screamed the same thing. Socialite Tonia Okafor kicked her fiancé's mother. Cleaner woman turns out to be billionaire's mom. From humiliation to karma, the fall of a Lagos queen. Tonia's phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Her PR manager, stylists, friends, everyone was calling, but she didn't answer. She couldn't. She sat on her bed in Kelechi's mansion, her golden engagement dress now wrinkled on the floor, her makeup smeared from tears. Her mind was racing. How could this have happened? How could she, the face of Lagos luxury, have publicly humiliated the woman who birthed her billionaire fiancé? But even as shame gnawed at her, pride screamed louder. "No," she muttered to herself. "I won't let this destroy me." Downstairs, she could hear faint laughter. Nkechi's voice. Warm, calm, powerful. Tonia's jaw clenched. Nkechi sat in the sunlit breakfast room, wearing a simple Encore wrapper and sipping her tea like royalty. Kelechi stood beside her, smiling as they chatted about family and business. When Tonia finally appeared, her head held high despite the storm. The room fell quiet. "Good morning, Mama," she greeted softly. Nkechi looked up slowly, her expression unreadable. "Ah, my dear, you slept well." "Yes, Ma," Tonia said, forcing a smile. "I just wanted to apologize again for the misunderstanding at the hotel." Nkechi placed her cup down gently. "A misunderstanding? That's what you call it." Kelechi frowned, glancing between them. Tonia swallowed hard. "It was a mistake. I didn't know who you were." "That's the thing," Nkechi said quietly, her eyes locking on hers. "You didn't need to know who I was to treat me like a human being." The words landed like a slap, calm, measured, but devastating. Tonia felt her eyes sting. She wanted to respond, to defend herself, but nothing came out. Kelechi cleared his throat awkwardly. "Mama, Tonia already apologized publicly. Let's move forward, please." Nkechi smiled faintly. "Of course. I've forgiven her. But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences." Her voice was soft, yet it cut through the air like glass. That afternoon, Kelechi left for a meeting, leaving the two women alone in the mansion. Tonia tried to keep busy, answering calls, pretending everything was fine. But no one wanted to work with her anymore. A major fashion brand dropped her as their influencer. An endorsement deal froze payments. "Your image is toxic right now," her manager said on the phone. "You need damage control, Tonia." Tonia sighed. "I'll fix it. I always do." But even she didn't believe that anymore. Just then, a maid entered the room, younger, nervous, holding a tray of juice. She stumbled slightly, spilling a few drops on the table. Tonia opened her mouth instinctively, ready to snap. Then she stopped. The memory of that hotel brunch flashed before her eyes, her heels slamming into a woman's shin, the gasp of the crowd, the humiliation in Nkechi's eyes. She blinked and instead said quietly, "It's fine. Clean it up." The maid looked surprised. "Thank you, Ma." As the girl left, Tonia slumped onto the couch, her heart pounding. For the first time in her adult life, she felt small. By evening, Kelechi's mood had shifted. He barely spoke during dinner, scrolling through his phone. "Kelechi, you're quiet," she said softly. He looked up. "I've been getting calls from my board. They're worried about how the scandal might affect our company's reputation." Tonia frowned. "It was one incident. Are you saying this could cost you business?" He sighed. "You don't understand, Tonia. Image is everything in our world. If people think you're arrogant or cruel, they assume I condone it too. So what are you saying?" He hesitated. "I'm saying maybe we should postpone the engagement, just until things cool down." Tonia's fork clattered onto her plate. "Postpone. It's temporary," he said quickly. "Let's not make any rash decisions. Just take a break from the spotlight." She stared at him, disbelief turning into fury. "So that's it? You're embarrassing me now." Kelechi rubbed his temples. "I'm trying to protect both of us. Don't make this harder than already is." But to Tonia, it already felt like betrayal. Later that night, she overheard Kelechi and Nkechi talking in the living room. She stood behind the wall, listening quietly. "Mama, you think I'm being too soft on her?" Kelechi asked. Nkechi's voice came calm and low. "My son, people reveal their true hearts and how they treat those they think can do nothing for them. That girl showed you who she is." "I love her," Kelechi said softly, "but I can't ignore what she did." "Love without respect is weakness," Nkechi replied. "You're not marrying a brand. You're marrying a person. Make sure her soul matches yours." Tonia's chest tightened. She covered her mouth, tears burning her eyes. In that moment, she hated Nkechi, not just for exposing her, but for being everything she wasn't. Calm, wise, untouchable. And somewhere deep down, she knew she was losing. The next day, Tonia packed her things. "I'll stay in my apartment for a while," she told Kelechi, "until you decide what you want." He didn't argue. That hurt more than any insult. Nkechi watched from the balcony as Tonia's car pulled out of the mansion gate. Her expression was unreadable, but a small sigh escaped her lips. A sigh not of satisfaction, but of sorrow. Because even though Tony had been cruel, Nkechi understood one painful truth. Arrogance often hides insecurity. And insecurity, when wounded, can become dangerous. 2 weeks later, Kelechi received a shocking email from his legal team. Attached was a lawsuit filed by Tony Okafor, accusing him of emotional distress, defamation, and breach of engagement promise. His jaw tightened as he read. She was suing him for 100 million naira. He dropped his phone in disbelief. "What is this?" From across the room, Nkechi's calm voice answered, "Consequences, my son. The story isn't over. Comment your thoughts on this betrayal. Should Kelechi forgive Tonia, or is it time he moves on for good? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping African marriage dramas right here on African Echoes. The first police siren wailed outside the Duramola mansion at exactly 9 a.m., slicing through the palm-lined calm of Ikoyi like a blade. 2 officers stepped from a marked van and hammered a bright red notice onto the black steel gate. By order of the High Court of Lagos State, the paper read, "Temporary restraining order and notice of claim." Cameras were already there, bloggers, gossip pages, even a morning show anchor in Gellion heels, streaming the scene live to an audience hungry for domestic betrayal and public disgrace. Kelechi watched from the balcony, jaw tight. Beside him, Nkechi folded her wrapper, face serene but eyes hard. "They chose mourning for a reason," she said softly. "People scroll when they're commuting. Fear travels faster than truth." He nodded and turned to his legal team inside. Barrister Ijeoma Nwokoye stood at the dining table with a war room of files. "She's alleging infidelity in marriage even though you are only engaged," Ijeoma said, tapping the notice, "emotional manipulation and breach of promise. She's demanding 100 million naira, an apology tour, and an injunction that you avoid defamatory narratives about her." Ijeoma's eyes lifted. "It's not just a lawsuit. It's a PR ambush." "Vanessa tipped them off," Kelechi muttered. "She always does." Nkechi set a teacup down gently. In Lagos, the person who runs to the market first sells a story, but the person who returns with receipts wins the crowd. Ijeoma slid a manila folder across. "Receipts are coming. We've subpoenaed phone records and bank transfers. And Kelechi, we need to talk about your family obligations." "Zara," he straightened. "Amara's lawyer called at dawn. After this public scandal, your ex is considering pausing shared weekends until things stabilize. She's concerned about co-parenting conflict and exposure to paparazzi. Emergency family court hearing this afternoon." Kelechi's expression cracked. "Just for a second. Zara is 7. She doesn't deserve this circus." "No child does," Nkechi said, voice low. "But you will show her who her father is by how you carry thunder. When men shout, roofs tremble. When mothers whisper, houses change." Her hand touched his arm. "Walk steady." He nodded, breathing out. "Fine. We go to court. We counter. We keep the company steady." Ijeoma flipped to another page. "There's more. Tonia had access to your philanthropic account for event decor deposits. 3 vendor payments went out last week to a shell agency called Silver Loops Limited. The signatory on those invoices is your CFO, Colonel Ajayi." Kelechi blinked. "Colonel, yes. And that means this is no simple lover spat. It's a coordinated financial play. This chapter of your life is a revenge story whether you want it or not." He paced to the window. Below, the officers were removing the notice, satisfied they'd been seen. The bloggers dispersed like starlings. Ikoyi went back to honking in sunlight. "Let's move," he said. By late morning, the mansion had emptied of media, leaving only the scent of jasmine and a tension that clung to the curtains. Kelechi changed into a charcoal kaftan and drove himself to the company tower on Ozumbambaju. The lagoon shone to his left. Danfos rattled past. A billboard hawked a new Afrobeats album over the traffic. Lagos moved, as it always does, fast, loud, merciless. At the 18th floor boardroom, the directors filed in with tight smiles. Sponsor pull from the Marina project. One said, "Bank wants clarity on your reputation risk," said another. Domestic betrayal had leaked into concrete and steel. Colonel entered last, crisp in a navy suit, eyes measured. "We should close ranks," he said smoothly. Freeze comment. "Issue a statement of love and unity. Apologize to women generally. Stress your commitment to co-parenting harmony with your ex, Amara. It reads well for USA women audiences and investors alike." Kelechi studied him. "And the silver loops and voices?" Cunnell's eyebrows flinched. "Routine. Event logistics. I'll have account send proof." "Do that," Kelechi said, holding the stare a beat longer than politeness allowed. At noon, Kelechi stood in the school car park in Lekki as children burst into the sun laughing, white socks flashing. Zara's little braids bounced as she ran to him. "Daddy," she beamed, hugging his waist. He bent, inhaling the warm, powdery scent of her hair, that anchor beyond money and headlines. "My star girl." He looked up to find Amara approaching, Ankara dress fluttering. Her smile was kind but wary. "You saw my lawyer's email." "We can talk without lawyers," he said gently. She glanced around at the parents' stealing glances. "It's the public disgrace, Kel. Gossip pages say you kicked a cleaner." "I didn't." "Tonia did. And the cleaner is my mother." Amara's eyes widened, then softened as she spotted Nkechi's car idling with the window down and that same calm silhouette inside. "Auntie Nkechi is too dignified for this mess." "She didn't choose it," he said. "None of us did." Amara exhaled. "I'll honor the schedule today. But if the noise continues, we pause until court guides custody. I need to protect Zara from emotional manipulation and the internet." He nodded, pain low in his throat. "I hear you." They agreed to exchange Zara on Sunday at noon. As Amara turned away, Zara tugged his sleeve. "Daddy!" Kids were laughing in class. "They said your fiancé beat someone." He held her small hand. "People sometimes repeat what they don't understand. What do we do when that happens?" Zara thought. "We tell the truth and be kind?" "And we stay steady," he said, kissing her forehead. "Always." Back at the tower, Ijeoma burst into the office with a thumb drive. "We've got something." She plugged it into the screen. Grainy hotel security footage filled the conference room. The brunch corridor, trays lined like soldiers, sunlight on marble. Tonia glided into frame in that gold dress. But the camera showed something the phone videos didn't. Vanessa lingering by a service station, then nudging a passing waiter. The tray tipped. Juice splashed. The collision wasn't an accident. It was stage-managed chaos. Another angle showed Vanessa texting, then lifted her phone just as the spill happened, already positioned for the money shot. A third clip showed her sliding a business card to a paparazzi freelancer near the entrance. "Payments?" Kelechi asked. "Almost," Ijeoma said, flipping to bank PDFs. Oasis PR wired 2 million naira to Vanessa's boutique the day after the video trended. Guess who funds Oasis PR's biggest retainer? She tapped the screen and a name filled the room. Chief Osei Mensah, the Accra developer who'd lost a Lagos waterfront bid to Kelechi last quarter. Nkechi's voice floated from the doorway. She'd slipped in unnoticed. "The harvest follows the seed," she murmured. "They planted scandal to reap contract delays." Kelechi's mouth set. "We expose them. Today." Ijeoma lifted a hand. "Careful. Hard proof ties Vanessa to paid virality, but Mensah will claim arm's-length ignorance. Also, we pulled the Silver Loops corporate records. Cunnell incorporated it last year using a proxy director. The account received 3 deposits from your charity fund, then transferred out to..." She clicked again. The name hit like a slap. Tonia Okafor. Silence deepened. Nkechi's brows didn't rise. Only her fingers tightened around her bag strap. So the girl wasn't just proud. She was planning. "Emails?" Kelechi asked, voice flat. "We recovered chats. Late nights. Hotel bookings at Eco Atlantic for 2. K&T. Ijeoma glanced up. "Cunnell and Tonia. Infidelity and marriage allegations won't play well when the cheating spouse narrative turns on them." Kelechi closed his eyes a moment, then opened them, steady again. "Prepare a countersuit for wire fraud, conspiracy, and defamation. Freeze Cunnell's company laptop. Lock him out of finance systems now." Igioma was already typing. On it, Nkechi stepped forward and placed a cool palm on her son's cheek. Remember, this is not about humiliation. It's about justice that teaches. Do not let anger choose your words. He nodded. I won't. By late afternoon, the tower lobby filled with the scent of jollof from a staff canteen tray. Someone hummed a Burna Boy hook under their breath. Lego's pulse went on, indifferent to one man's storm. In the boardroom, the projector whirred. Igioma organized exhibits. IT packed Cunnell's workstation under security's eye. Cunnell stood across the glass table, cheeks tight. This is an overreaction. Silver loops, Kelechi said evenly, was an overreaction. Cunnell scoffed. You won't make this stick. Kelechi leaned in. You sold our philanthropy like spare parts. Cunnell opened his mouth, but stopped when the projector beeped and a new video auto-played. The mansion's guest lounge at night. Tonia, in a silk robe, and Cunnell, shirt unbuttoned, kissing against the piano. Date stamped in the corner. A week before the engagement party. The room sucked in a breath. Cunnell's face drained. You put cameras in your own house? Kelechi's voice was ice. No, you too were sloppy. A housekeeper recorded that after hearing the piano and fearing thieves. She turned it in yesterday. You can leave your badge on the table. Security stepped forward. Cunnell's eyes flicked to the door, then to Kelechi's unblinking stare. He set the badge down. As security escorted him out, Igioma's phone buzzed, and she went pale. They're moving fast, she said. Vanessa just went live on Instagram from a studio set. Tonia is sitting beside her. They're claiming you begged Tonia to save face by marrying immediately. She says she refused, and you threatened her. Vanessa is reading text aloud. Faked. Kelechi asked. Spliced. Igioma said. Snippets of your old chats mixed with new lines. It's emotional manipulation designed for virality. Nkechi's phone pinged simultaneously. She read the screen, then passed it to Kelechi. A message from an unknown number. Admit you cheated with your co-parent, or we release hotel footage of you entering room 408 with Amara. Marry Tonia in 7 days, or lose your child in the court of public opinion. Kelechi frowned. I've never been in a hotel room with Amara. Not once since Zara was born. Truth doesn't stop gossip, Igioma said. Evidence does. The boardroom door burst open. The receptionist was breathless. Sir, Channel 7 is downstairs. They say Ms. Tonia is at the gate with the police. She's holding up a pregnancy test on camera. For a moment, nobody spoke. Kelechi looked at his mother. If she's pregnant. Nkechi's eyes were a steady river. Then we will raise truth like a banner and let the wind test it. Igioma was already stacking documents. We need to move now. Filed a countersuit, pushed the hotel security clips to the court clerk under seal, and asked the judge for a gag order. Also, we'll request a paternity test immediately. If this is a lie, it dies today. If it's true, we deal with it honorably. From the speaker, the lobby TV leaked Tonia's voice, sugary, trembling. I never wanted to say this publicly, she told the cameras, holding the small white stick just so. But I will not let a cheating spouse's narrative destroy me. I'm carrying Kelechi's child, and he is trying to silence me. The anchors gasped. Comments flooded. OMG, men are wicked. Public disgrace. The hashtags multiplied. Hashtag African marriage drama, hashtag co-parenting conflict, hashtag revenge story. Kelechi's phone lit again, Amara this time. He answered. She didn't say hello. We need to talk about Zara, she whispered, voice shaking. Now. The boardroom projector suddenly blinked, then switched feeds by itself. A new video filled the screen. An empty nursery, a door, a whisper. Then the frame caught Tonia, weeks earlier, stepping into that same nursery at night, riffling a drawer, sliding a flash drive into a teddy bear seam. The timestamp flickered. Hidden footage. A second later, the file cut out with an error tone. Everyone stared at the frozen image of the teddy bear. How did that play? Igioma whispered. IT shook his head. It shouldn't. The source is internal. Someone scheduled it. Nkechi's voice was almost a prayer. She hid something in the child's room. Kelechi pushed back his chair, breath coming faster. Not rage now, but something colder. Get security to the house. Open that bear. Now. A loud knock rattled the glass door. The receptionist's voice trembled from the hall. Sir, the police are upstairs. They have a search warrant, and Ms. Tonia is with them. The door handle turned. The room held its breath. The glass swung inward. And Tonia stepped into the boardroom beside two officers, her makeup flawless, her smile sharpened to a blade, the pregnancy stick gleaming in her hand. Good afternoon, everyone, she said, eyes locking with Kelechi's. Shall we tell Lagos the truth? Studio microphone, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this on African Echoes. What do you think happens next? Pregnancy ploy or real shocker? Comment your thoughts on Betrayal and share this with someone who loves drama. The teddy bear lay on the dining table like a patient on an operating bed. Its brown seam opened neatly. Fluff gathered in a white bowl, a small silver flash drive glinting on the chandelier. Plug it in, Kelechi said, voice low. Nkechi touched his wrist. Breathe first. He swallowed, nodded, and gestured to IT. The young man slid the drive into a laptop. A folder popped open. Receipts. No one spoke. Outside, Ikoyi sunlight painted quiet squares on the rug. The house staff kept their distance, moving with the hushed Legos houses know when a family is under siege. Open the first file, Igioma said. A video filled the screen, hotel hallway footage from the Continental. It was the same corridor where the domestic betrayal went viral, but this time the camera angle was different and the time stamp earlier. Vanessa entered frame laughing, handing cash to a waiter. She tapped her phone, then placed it to her ear. Audio, Igioma asked. IT clicked. The voices were muffled, but words cut through like nails. Make sure it spills, Vanessa said in Yoruba. And keep your camera up. We need the cheating spouse angle later. The waiter nodded nervously. The next clip showed Tonia in a mirror, adjusting her gold dress. She whispered into a phone, Cunnel, stall him at the entrance. Once it trends, we go live. He'll panic. The room had no air for a few seconds. Kelechi stared, hands tight at his sides. She hid the proof in my child's toy. Nkechi's eyes softened. Evil borrows innocent faces, she murmured, but truth still recognizes its own. Keep going, Igioma said. Additional files appeared. Screenshots of bank transfers from Silver Loops limited to Tonia's account. A note title media plan with hashtags. Hashtag after marriage drama. Hashtag public disgrace. Hashtag co-parenting conflict. And bold lines that read, forced apology or forced marriage, both wins. It was all there. Emotional manipulation, written like a shopping list. Then a final folder, Baba Mensa. IT clicked. A recorded Zoom call played. Chief Osei Mensa sat in a dim office in Accra, a framed photo of a Marina behind him. His voice was smooth. Miss Okafor, he said, your timing is perfect. If the Ozumba project pauses, we will be ready. Your compensation remains as agreed, through Oasis PR and other channels. Tonia, off camera, keep it quiet. Mensa, public disgrace is always loud. Money must be silent. The screen went black. Kelechi leaned back, the chair creaking in the quiet. Anger had burned earlier in the day, now a colder feeling settled. Something like mourning, not for love, because it had died already, but for trust in the runes he built. Igioma straightened. This is enough to change the case. We file for injunctive relief and request a criminal inquiry into wire fraud. We'll also move for a gag order. Lagos bloggers will shout, but the court will hear. Before Kelechi could answer, his phone vibrated. Amara, he walked to the balcony and answered. Amara? Her voice was barely steady. Zara is asking why people are calling me a homebreaker. He closed his eyes. I'm sorry. I know it isn't true, she said, exhaling. But children don't know how to sort rumors. The school counselor called me. We need a plan. Kelechi, co-parenting has to be calm or will harm her. He looked out over the lagoon, boats moving like small thoughts across blue. Come to the house this evening. Mama will be here. We'll talk without lawyers. A pause. All right. When he returned to the table, Nkechi was already tying her headscarf. Let's cook, she said. When a house is on fire, stew must still simmer. That is how children believe tomorrow will arrive. They went to the kitchen, an island of stainless steel and soft light. A pot hissed. Onions met hot oil. A clean, familiar smell rose like a prayer. N.K. Eki's hands moved with practiced grace. Tomatoes, pepper, thyme. Kelechi chopped in silence, grateful for a task that served someone small and precious. Your father, Nkechi said quietly, once lost a contract because a minister wanted a bribe. He came home, washed his hands, ate pounded yam, and held you on his chest while he listened to Fell on the radio. He told me, I will not sell my name. A child will carry it. Kelechi's knife paused. I remember his voice, not his words. Then hear them now, she said, stirring. We fight, but we do not roll in the mud. Let the law and light work. He nodded. Law and light. They cooked in rhythm. The mansion, still bruised by the morning's drama, began to smell like home. When the pot finally settled into a gentle bubble, the gate buzzer rang. Amara, Kelechi said. Nkechi wiped her hands. Bring my daughter. He smiled faintly at the choice of words and went to the door. Amara entered in a soft blue ochre dress, sandals dusted with city powder. She carried Zara by the hand. The child's curious eyes swept the foyer, the chandelier, her grandma's quiet smile. Grandma, Zara said shyly. My star, Nkechi replied, crouching to the child height. Come, taste stew. Zara giggled and ran ahead. For a few minutes, the four of them were simply a family, tasting, laughing gently, Zara stealing a piece of fried plantain and popping it into her mouth with a triumph only a child knows. Lagos outside kept honking. Inside, something healed a little. At the table, Amara's honesty was a calm Lagos rarely gives. Kelechi, she said, I will not raise our daughter inside a rumor storm. We need boundaries. No photos. No house visits for your fiancé while Zara is present. If another woman will enter her life one day, it must be stable and kind, not a headline. Agreed, he said. There is no fiancé. Amara glanced at Nkechi. Nkechi poured water into cups. Men can break engagement rings, but not promises to their children. We will set a schedule and stick to it. Sundays by noon, and if there is noise in the street, we meet at my sister's house in Surulere. There's always peace in the small living room. Amara nodded. Thank you, Mama. Zara leaned into her grandmother's side. Grandma, people say Daddy is a cheating spouse. Nkechi touched the child's hair. People say many things when their mouths are empty. Your father tells the truth and loves you. That is what your heart can hold. Zara seemed to accept this and returned to her plantain with the seriousness of 7-year-olds. After dinner, Kelechi walked Amara and Zara to the car. The sky over Lagos was turning mango gold. A muezzin's call braided into the city's electric hum. He opened the back door and strapped Zara in. Sunday, he asked. Sunday. Amara said, and please keep me updated. If there's a court date, I don't want to hear about it on Instagram. He managed a smile. Never again. She studied him a moment. You used to be softer. Before all this. He looked away. Lagos hardens what it doesn't break. Amara's expression softened. Then keep the soft things safe, she said, nodding toward the house where his mother stood in the doorway and the pot still simmered on low. That's how we survive. He watched their car disappear into evening traffic, the taillights threading into a river of red. Inside, Ijeoma had arranged printed exhibits on the table. Bank slips, video stills, subtitles in clean fonts for a judge's tired eyes. We file at 8 a.m., she said. The judge assigned to your co-parenting hearing this week is fair. If we present this quietly without theatrics, the court will see the emotional manipulation and the PR strategy. We'll also request a court-ordered paternity test. If Tonia is lying, that ends today. If she's telling the truth. We accept the truth, Kelechi said. The words were heavy but straight. and we co-parent with respect, even with her. Nkechi's eyes warmed with proud sadness. That is a man. A knock interrupted them. The guard handed over a small envelope. Delivered by a bike rider, he said. No return address. Ijeoma opened it with a letter opener. Inside was a single photo, grainy, printed from a phone. It showed the outside of Amara's modest apartment in Lekki. On the back, a message in block letters. Control your woman or watch your child's school trend next. The room tightened. This is a threat, Ijeoma said. We reported to the police and asked for a protective order. Do it, Kelechi said, jaw flexing. Double Zara's security, without making her feel watched. I'll call the school. Nkechi held the photograph a second longer, then slid it back. A dog that barks at a child must smell pepper, she said quietly. But we will let the law carry the spoon. The laptop pinged. A new email arrived from an anonymous address. truthspeaks@post.com. Subject, look at the ultrasound metadata. IT clicked. An attachment opened. Tonia's glossy ultrasound photo from earlier, the one she'd waved during her media parade. Another window showed the image's metadata. The clinic name was real. The date was last week. But under patient ID, a different name gleamed. Okafor Antonia amended. The term amended linked to a change log with an admin account. Kanolajai@dermolanevis.com. Ijeoma let out a low whistle. He used his corporate email to edit her clinic file. Arrogant and sloppy. If this sticks, it's evidence tampering. Can we verify? Kelechi asked. We'll subpoena the clinic's audit trail first thing, she said. If Kunal touched that record, he handed us a gift. The gate buzzer rang again. The guard's voice crackled over the intercom. Sir, Channel 7 again. They're asking if the co-parenting conflict household wants to issue a statement about a pregnancy twist. Tell them no, Kelechi said. We speak in court, not at cameras. As the guard relayed the message, a soft sound came from the laptop. Another automatic play. IT frowned. I didn't. A final hidden file from the flash drive opened itself. The screen showed a small flat, peeling paint, a dusty fan turning lazily. Tonia sat at a table with Vanessa, both in plain clothes, not glam, not guarded. Two women with tired eyes in a cheap room. The video timestamp was 2 months old. Tonia's voice was low, bitter. If he won't marry me, we'll make him. We spill tea to the bloggers. We talk about infidelity in marriage. We push cheating spouse headlines. We cry on live. Lagos loves tears. Vanessa nodded, scrolling. And if it fails? Tonia's lips pressed thin. Then we burn what he loves. Contracts. Reputation. Peace. We turn his co-parenting into a scandal. We put his mother on camera, if we must. Vanessa looked uneasy. She's old, Ton. People respect her. That's why it will trend, Tonia said, voice like glass. The recording ended. The room stayed quiet long enough to hear cutlery settle in the kitchen. Ijeoma broke the silence. This file, if the court sees it, the case changes shape. But remember, YouTube drama isn't the courtroom. We move carefully. Nkechi smoothed the seam of the open teddy bear, then rested her palm on the table. We will not answer thunder with thunder. We will answer with rain that cleans the dust. Kelechi nodded. Tomorrow, court. Tonight, rest. He stood and began to gather the documents when the house lights flickered and steadied. The generator hummed its familiar comfort. Then his phone pinged again, a voice note this time, from an unknown number. He tapped it. A man's voice, accent Ghanaian, filled the room, slow and amused. Mr. Dramola, the voice said, You think court will save you, but contracts are written by men and men eat. If you want your Sunday with your little girl to stay quiet, call me before midnight, or watch the school gate become a stage. The voice ended. Nkechi's hand tightened on the chair back. Ijeoma swore under her breath. IT's eyes went to the child's backpack on the counter. Pink and harmless. Kelechi pressed the phone to the table. Steady on the outside. Storming inside. Record preserved, he said. We add extortion to the complaint. He looked at his mother. "I promise Zara peace." Nkechi held his gaze. "Keep your promise. But choose your next step like a surgeon." The intercom buzzed one last time that night. "Sir," the guard said, voice strained, "there's a small parcel at the gate addressed to your mother. The sender says it's from an old friend in Accra. Should we bring it in?" Kelechi and Ijeoma exchanged a look. "Scan it," Ijeoma said. "Gloves." Minutes later, the guard placed a flat box on the table. Inside lay a crisp white envelope and a single gold baby rattle. Nkechi opened the envelope. A single line of typed text stared back. "Your cleaner days are over. Stay out of this, mother, or hear a cry you cannot comfort." The baby rattle rolled slightly and stilled. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this on African Echoes. What do you think happens next? Will the court believe the receipts, or will the enemies strike first? Comment below and share this with someone who loves high-stakes African marriage drama. Court will come to order. The gavel cracked like thunder over Osborne. Camera flashes died to a nervous whisper as the high court judge adjusted her robe and peered over half-moon glasses. On the right, Kelechi Duramola sat with Barrister Ijeoma, jaw firm. Nkechi one seat behind him in a pale blue iro and buba that glowed under the fluorescence. On the left, in a fitted white dress and perfect lashes, Tonia Okafor lifted her chin beside Vanessa, their perfume cutting to the old wood scent of the room. It felt like the whole of Lagos squeezed onto those benches, bloggers, bankers, even two market women in Gelly whispering, "Nah, the domestic betrayal case be this." The judge scanned the file. "We have before us Miss Okafor's application alleging emotional distress, defamation, and breach of promise, and Mr. Daramola's motion for injunctive relief, defamation counterclaim, and a paternity order. Counsel appearances." Ijeoma rose. "For the defendant and counterclaimant, your lordship." A sleek man stood for Tonia. "For the applicant, my lord." The judge nodded. "The city loves drama. I love evidence. We will proceed on documents, exhibits, and sworn testimony only." A murmur rolled, then stilled. Ijeoma moved first, voice cool. "Your lordship, Exhibit D1, security footage from the Continental Hotel, showing Miss Okafor's agent, Vanessa, coordinating a stage spill that triggered a public disgrace. D2, transfers from a shell company, silver loops, funded by Mr. Daramola's philanthropy account, then wired to Miss Okafor. D3, a recorded Zoom call with Chief Osei Mensah of Accra, demonstrating a financial motive to cripple Mr. Daramola's projects. D4, a video showing Miss Okafor and Mr. Jai, his ex-CFO, conducting themselves in a manner inconsistent with fidelity. Gasps. The court usher hissed, "Order." Tonia's lawyer didn't flinch. "My lord, the pregnancy changes equities. We urge the court to prioritize the unborn child's welfare. The alleged infidelity in marriage narrative Mr. Daramola is pushing has harmed my client and her business. We seek protective orders and an apology." The judge's eyes cooled. "Miss Okafor, are you pregnant?" Tonia placed a hand on her stomach. "Performance perfect." "Yes, my lord." "Very well. There will be no trial by Instagram in my courtroom." The judge signed 2 forms. "I grant a court-ordered paternity test. Today, blood draws for both parties before you leave the premises. Results to be filed under seal. I also grant a temporary gag order. No party will give media statements. Violations will attract sanctions." A blogger in the gallery lowered his phone, disappointed. The judge turned to Ijeoma. "On Mr. Daramola's application for injunctive relief regarding the defamatory live streams, I grant an interim order restraining further publication of Dr. texts. Police to investigate the alleged wire fraud attached to Silver Loop's return in 7 days." The gavel came down. Next matter. Outside, the courthouse steps erupted anyway. Microphones thrust forward like spears. "Sir, is it true? Ma, did you kick?" The PR storm pressed against a gag order like rain on glass. A suya smoke ribbon drifted from a roadside grill. Danfoes honked as if in agreement that Lagos would always be Lagos. Inside the corridor, a nurse in scrubs waited by a temporary clinic sign. "Blood draw," she said gently. Tonia bared her arm with a practiced sigh. Kelechi rolled his sleeve in silence. Needles flashed, vials filled. Vanessa hovered, eyes darting. Nkechi watched from a bench, lips moving in a slow prayer. When it was done, the nurse labeled the vials. Courier leaves now. Results tomorrow latest, by court order. Tomorrow. The word felt like a cliff. By afternoon, the sky turned white-hot, the kind of heat that made roofs shimmer. The family gathered back at the mansion, where the generator hummed like a patient heartbeat. In the kitchen, Nkechi set down a bowl of okra she'd sliced thin. The blade worked neat as calligraphy. People forget to eat when scandal eats them, she said. We will not forget. Amara arrived through the side door. No lipstick, simple dress, dignity like a shield. Zara ran ahead, her backpack banging her side. Daddy, guess what? We read a story where the fox lied, and the hen still saw morning. Kelechi scooped her up, and what did the hen do? She stayed near her friends, Zara said proudly, and the farmer used his torchlight, so the fox couldn't hide. She paused, peeking at his face. Daddy, are you the farmer or the torch? Both, he said softly, kissing her hair. They ate at the long table, a quiet island. When Zara finished and ran to yard to chase Bubbles with the housekeeper's son, the adults let their voices drop. The paternity test was the right call, Amara said. If it's true, we arranged co-parenting without noise. If it's not, it ends. Ijeoma finished, entering with a folder. Either way, the law will cut through the emotional manipulation. Amara gave a single nod, firm, forgiving. I don't want Zara to learn love from YouTube comments. Nkechi smiled at her like a blessing. A child who sees adults sit and eat stew together learns peace on the spoon. The bell rang. The gate guard's voice crackled. Madam, a young woman is outside alone. Says her name is Vanessa. She's crying. She says, please, I can't carry the secret again. Chair scraped. Ijeoma and Kelechi exchanged a look. Bring her, Nkechi said. Vanessa entered small and trembling, a far cry from the slick gossip star and ring lights. Without lashes, her eyes looked young. I'm sorry, she blurted before anyone asked a question. I didn't know it would go this far. The threats, the school, the baby rattle. Her voice cracked. I thought it was only a revenge story for clout. Then the men from Accra started calling at midnight. Ijeoma's tone was steady. Talk. All of it. We can protect you if you tell the truth. Vanessa clutched her bag. It started with Chief Mensa's PR team. They promised money if I made the domestic betrayal trend. Cheating spouse, African marriage drama. All those keywords. Tonia said Kelechi would marry her if Lagos put a knife to his reputation. Nkechi's eyes flicked to Kelechi, then back. And the pregnancy? Vanessa swallowed. She is pregnant. But she shut her eyes, shame rising. We don't think it's his. Silence hit the room like a door. Whose? Ijeoma asked gently. Vanessa broke. Colonel, the night at the piano wasn't the only night. Ijeoma exhaled slowly. Do you have proof that Mensa paid you? Vanessa nodded, pulling out a phone. Screenshots, voice notes. And, she hesitated, eyes filling. There's something else. Tonia told me to drop a flash drive in the teddy bear that night, so she could collect it later if the plan failed. I couldn't do it. I kept the drive, the real one. I gave her a blank. Nkechi's brow lifted. So the one we found was a copy, Vanessa whispered. The original has more bank logs, a clinic voicemail, even a script for her tearful interview. I hid it in my salon at Yaba because I got scared. Ijeoma stood. We're leaving now. If Chief Mensa's people think you'll flip, they'll move on you before dark. Vanessa's shoulders shook. They've already moved. Look. She scrolled to a fresh message. Leave Lagos by midnight. Tickets paid. Accra waiting. Kelechi took the phone. The sender ID matched the Ghanaian number from the earlier threat. He felt rage threatened to unmoor him, then heard his mother's voice from last night. Law and light. He breathed, then turned to Ijeoma. We call the DPO and take her under police protection as a whistleblower. We go to the salon now. Retrieve that drive. Nkechi reached for Vanessa's hand. You will eat first, she said softly, sliding a bowl toward her. A person who eats can stand. Tears slipped down Vanessa's cheeks as she nodded and spooned stew like it was medicine. Evening pulled over the city like a warm cloth. On the drive to Yaba, Danfo conductors hung off doors crying, Yaba, Yaba straight. A vendor balanced plantain on her head like a crown. Afrobeats thumped from a kiosk. Lagos looked exactly the same and entirely different. Police met them 2 streets from the salon. The DPO, a calm woman in braids, took Vanessa to an unmarked car. We'll guard the perimeter, she said. Move quickly. The salon was dark. The air smelled faintly of relaxer and lemon disinfectant. Vanessa led Igioma to a back room, knelt by a loose tile, and pried it up with shaking hands. A small plastic packet came free. Inside, a silver drive. Footsteps sounded in the corridor. A shadow moved under the door. Igioma's eyes cut to Kelechi. He nodded. They stepped apart from the door's line. The knob turned. The DPO's voice slicing. Police! Boots clattered. 2 men fled through the back, colliding with a mop bucket. Officers tackled one. The other bolted toward the alley and vanished into generator hum. The DPO shoved the caught man against the wall, patting his pockets. A Ghanaian passport slipped out, unsmudged. Under it, a small gold rattle. Nkechi's breath snagged, then steadied as she lifted her chin. Pepper, she murmured, but we will still use law to carry the spoon. The DPO squinted at the passport. This one won't see home tonight. She nodded at Igioma. Get that drive to safe. Igioma tucked it into a hard case. Chain of custody starts now. Back at the mansion, the house felt different, less haunted, more alert, like a person who had decided to stop running. Zara had fallen asleep on the couch, one hand clutching her storybook. Amara tucked a throw around her. We're leaving soon, she whispered. Sunday still stands. Kelechi nodded. Sunday stands. Always. His phone buzzed, a clinic number. He swallowed, thumb hovering, eyes lifting to his mother, to Igioma, to Amara, to the DPO waiting by the door with a statement form, to Vanessa nursing a glass of water like a penitent. He tapped answer and press speaker. A clear, professional voice filled the room. Good evening. This is Dr. Fazina from Osborne Diagnostics. We are calling with preliminary paternity results as ordered by the court. Mr. Duramola, Miss Okafor, are you both available? I'm here, Kelechi said. Vanessa flinched. She's not with us, she whispered. This line is on speaker with counsel present. Igioma said crisply, You may proceed. Paper rustled on the other end. We have completed non-invasive analysis using matched blood samples. The probability of paternity is 0%. I repeat, 0%. The words fell into the room like the first drop of rain before a storm breaks. Vanessa's hand flew to her mouth. Amara closed her eyes briefly, an exhale of something like relief and grief for the mess of adults. The DPO wrote a quick note and looked up, expression unreadable. Nkechi bowed her head and whispered, Thank you. Dr. Fazina continued, businesslike. Formal certificate will be delivered to the court by 9 a.m. tomorrow under seal. Please do not disclose this publicly until the judge lifts restrictions. Thank you, doctor. Igioma said, voice steady as a bridge. She ended the call and put both palms flat on the table. We keep this quiet. At dawn, we file for sanctions for weaponizing pregnancy and for protective order for child. The front gate intercom shrieked, sharp enough to rattle the glass. The guard's voice was panicked. Sir, Ma. Channel 7 is outside with Tonia. She's cutting the gate chain. She's screaming that you're hiding her child's father. There are men with her. I think they're not media. A motorbike revved. A bottle shattered against the metal. Zara stirred on the couch, eyes blinking into fear. Kelechi's jaw set. Get Zara to the back room now, he told Amara. To the DPO. We're under gag order. We can't speak, but we can enforce the law. The DPO was already moving, radio crackling. All units moved to the gate. Secure the perimeter. No one enters without a warrant. A heavy clang boomed from outside. Tonia's voice, high and edge of hysteria, ripped the night. Open this gate, or I will show Lagos who you really are. Vanessa's phone vibrated one more time. She glanced down, face draining. It's a live link, she whispered. They're about to go on air now. The mansion lights flickered as the generator swallowed a surge. The intercom squealed and cut. In the sudden hush, a baby rattle. That baby rattle rolled off the console table and clinked onto marble like a bad omen. From a gate came the low growl of a bolt cutter clamping shut. The metal screamed. The chain snapped. Studio microphone, if you're hooked. Hit like and subscribe for the next explosive chapter on African Echoes. What should happen now that the truth is out? Compassion or consequences? Comment your thoughts on Betrayal. Share with someone who loves high-stakes African marriage drama, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. The chain screamed, snapped, and the gate lurched inward. Police, hold the line! The DPO barked, cutting through the night like a whip. Torchlights flared. 2 officers stepped into the gap. Shields up, a third swung the small wicket door shut and slammed a fresh padlock. The men beside Tonia hesitated. Faces hard, shoulders tight beneath cheap black polos. Tonia lifted her phone and went live. Lagos. See what this billionaire and his mother are doing to a pregnant woman. Her voice quivered with practiced grief. They're hiding the truth. This is domestic betrayal. This is public disgrace. The DPO held up a stamped order. There's a court gag order. End the stream, ma'am. Tonia thrust the phone higher, tears glittering. They're silencing me. Cheating spouse billionaire silences pregnant fiancé. Phone down, the DPO repeated, unblinking. Behind the main gate, the mansion light steadied. Kelechi stood just inside the foyer, the door locked, shoulders squared. Beside him, Ijeoma dialed the judge's chambers with one hand and copied file names with the other. On the couch, Zara jolted upright. Amara gathered the child against her chest, whispering, "It's noise, baby. Lagos is noisy. We're safe." In the shadows near the staircase, Nkechi pressed her forehead to the wall for a breath that sounded like a prayer. Lord, put pepper in the mouths of liars and calm the heart of this child. Vanessa, small again, stripped the ring lights in bravado, hugged herself and stared at the floor. "This is my fault," she whispered. "I helped them make a trend." "Not tonight," Nkechi said gently, turning to lift the young woman's chin with 2 fingers. "Tonight, you helped make it end." Outside, the DPO's backup arrived. More flashlights, more boots. A siren wailed once, a warning, then cut. The men around Tonia shifted. 2 stepped backward, ready to melt into darkness. The DPO nodded at her sergeant. "IDs." One man flashed a laminated card. The DPO didn't glance at it. "That's a photocopy. Turn around." He ran. Officers surged. Shoes skidded. A jacket tore at the shoulder with a wet rip. Tonia's live stream crackled as the phone whipped, catching snatches of uniform, gate, asphalt. Comments rolled in. "She's brave." "This is too much." "Why is she there at night?" Hashtag African marriage drama. The city watched with grease-stained fingers and paused soaps, the way Lagos always watches. The DPO took 2 measured steps until she stood nose to nose with Tonia. "By order of the court and the stream, you're on contempt already." Tonia's hand shook. She killed the live, then hissed, "I'm calling Channel 7. I'm calling the world." "Call the judge," the DPO said, voice flat. "He's awake. I just did." Inside, the phone on speaker crackled. A clerk's clipped voice. "Justice, yes, directive. The applicant is to desist and depart. Any continued disturbance, arrest for contempt. He'll issue a minute order in the morning." "Thank you," Ijeoma said, and ended the call. "They're done here." But Lagos is never done. An ambulance screamed into the street and braked hard by the gate. 2 men hopped out with a stretcher and ran for the opening. "Stop." The DPO's stance shifted. "Wait forward." "Which hospital?" "St. Melissa," one panted. Ijeoma didn't need to check the clinic list. There is no St. Melissa in Ikoyi, she murmured. The DPO yanked the stretcher sheet. A plastic cuff fell out, still in packaging. She kicked the wheel lock and the fake paramedics broke, scattering like roaches. One slipped. His head hit the bumper with a crack. The other bolted into the dark and vanished beneath generator hum and gecko clicks. On the fallen man, the DPO found a slim gold rattle shoved into a pocket, obscene as a threat. She raised it through the bars toward the house lights, letting its ugly shine be seen but not feared. "This is finished," she called. Nkechi's face didn't change. "Not yet," she said softly, "but soon." The police escorted Tonia to the road. "Leave, ma'am," the DPO said. "Return through counsel." Tony retreated to a waiting car, cheeks streaked but lips set. Just before the door slammed, she turned her face into the streetlight and spat. "See you in the morning with proof." The car peeled away, trailing perfume and promises. Silence, finally. It felt like a blanket, heavy, warm by stress. In the living room, Zara's pulse slowed under Amara's hand. The child blinked up at her father. "Daddy, is the fox gone?" "For tonight," Kelechi said, smoothing a braid. "The farmer is still awake." "And the torchlight?" she asked gravely. Nkechi reached over and clicked on the small lamp beside the couch, bathing the child in good yellow. "We are the torchlight." Zara nodded, satisfied in a way only children are, and curled close. She fell back into sleep with the trust of a morning yet to come. In the dining room, the adults spread out the evidence like a map of a war they hadn't chosen. The original flash drive Vanessa had just recovered from Yaba, the clinic audit request, the screen caps of silver loops, the Oasis PR transfers, the Mensa Zoom. "Chain of custody is logged," Ijeoma said, "writing time stamps. At 8 we file. The paternity result is under seal. No one breathes it until the judge does." Vanessa swallowed. "They'll come for me again." "They'll find police instead," the DPO said, reholstering her radio. "You're under protection now. We move you to a safe flat till you testify. Eat. Sleep. Don't open the door." "Thank you," Vanessa whispered, the word both apology and prayer. A small, quiet spread. The generators hummed under the house's bones. From somewhere down the street, a radio murmured mid-tempo Afrobeats. The lagoon moved like dark glass. Kelechi's phone buzzed. "Bank. Due to adverse media, your 2.5 billion Nigerian Nairas project line is suspended pending review." His chest tightened. The enemy wasn't just whispering, they were closing taps. "Mensa wants us thirsty," Ijeoma said, reading his face. "We'll respond with subpoenas, not tweets." The landline rang, a number masked, voice silk. Ghanaian accent, amused. "Mr. Daramola, good evening. Should we let your Sunday with your little girl stay peaceful? Then meet me at Aliko Jetty at dawn. Alone. Bring your mother if you like poetry." The line clicked dead. Kelechi stared at the handset. "He wants me on the water. Without police." "Trap," the DPO said. "We can wire you and place teams along the jetty. But you won't go alone." "I won't go at all," Nkechi said, folding her arms. "Men who love water want to drown witnesses." Ijeoma tapped a pen on her legal pad. "We propose a control call in the morning instead. Record. Transcribe. Hand to the court with a drive. Meanwhile, we feed the bank auditor our documents under NDA. Law and light, remember?" Kelechi's body remembered rage. His mouth chose discipline. Law and light. Deep night. Hours when even Lagos blinks. The house dozed in shifts. Ijeoma catnapped, upright in a chair, files under her palm. The DPO posted her officers in overlapping cones of vision. Amara lay beside Zara in the guest room, nose in the child's hair, watching the curtain turn silver with each sweep of security light. In the kitchen, a pot of rice cooled in a halo of steam and patience. Vanessa sat at the dining table with Nkechi, a lamp between them. "I can do a sworn video statement now," Vanessa said. "Timestamp it. If they take my phone, there's still a record." Nkechi nodded. "Speak, then. Do not dress your words. Let them be plain." Vanessa stared into the lens. My name is Vanessa Ofori. I was paid via Oasis PR to help Miss Tonia Okafor manufacture an infidelity in marriage scandal against Mr. Kelechi Daramola. I staged the hotel spill. I sent the video to blogs with SEO keywords like African marriage drama, cheating spouse, and co-parenting conflict. Miss Okafor had a relationship with Colonel Ajayi. Chief Osei Mensah funded parts of the operation to harm Mr. Daramola's projects. I fear retaliation. I want police protection. I am sorry. Nkechi clicked stop. Truth is a seed. It will find ground. Vanessa exhaled shakily. Ani, why are you kind to me? Because you were hungry, Nkechi said simply, and men with money gave you drama to eat. She reached across to cover Vanessa's fist with her palm. When this ends, you'll find work that lets you sleep. A faint thud shivered through the floor. All heads lifted. Security radio crackle. Gen 2 blink. Cameras looped for 3 seconds. Back online now. The DPO's eyes narrowed. Check windows. All of them. They split, smooth as a drill they'd never practiced. Kelechi and an officer took the study. The DPO and another swept the staff corridor. Ijeoma checked the file room. Amara slipped from the bed, peeked past the curtain, and saw nothing but her own reflection and a hibiscus bush bowing to a breathless night. Back in the hall, the DPO shook her head. They're testing fences. Kelechi's phone pinged, an email with a single line. Press play. A link opened without clicking. The tower server room blinked on screen. Blue racks, humming fans, a masked man copying drives to a blocky unit. He turned half-lit and glanced straight into the tiny dome camera, Cunnel. He tapped a smartwatch, and the feed went black. Ijeoma swore softly. He had a spare admin key. We change everything at dawn. For now, we've captured the intrusion. One more charge. The clock crawled toward 3. The city held its breath. Somewhere a rooster got the hour wrong. The first color of morning stretched in across the lagoon when the house finally exhaled. The child slept. The evidence sat squared, labeled, waiting to be carried into the daylight, and laid at a judge's feet. Tonia's live was over. The men had melted. The gate's new chain rested like a promise. Nkechi brewed tea and handed mug after mug as if pouring courage. When people wake, we move, she said. God rides on early feet. In the guest room, Amara smoothed Zara's hair, then slipped into the corridor. I'll make her lunch for school, she told the housekeeper with a tired smile. No peanuts. The housekeeper nodded, then frowned. Madam, where's the other lady? What other? Amara began, then felt the draft. The guest toilet window at the end of the hall stood open 2 inches. Curtain corner fluttering. Steel mosquito, mesh neatly slit. Vanessa? Amara called, voice a tight whisper now. Vanessa? No answer. Vanessa louder. The DPO was already moving, one hand up for silence, the other pointing. Left, right, like a conductor. 2 officers swept the quarters. Ijeoma checked doors with the gentle speed of someone who knows speed breaks locks. Kelechi ran to the back patio. A chair had been nudged under the outside ledge. The garden gate, latched, but the latch still quivering. By the sill, a tiny thing glinted. A single gold bead from a salon braid. Vanessa's. Nkechi stood very still, palms open as if to feel the last of the air she had exhaled with the girl's name. A horn blipped twice beyond the wall. Not a car. A tricycle. Kiki, the sound thin and mocking. A package thunked over the back fence and landed in the bougainvillea. The DPO waved everyone back, then used a broom to snag it and lower it to the ground. Inside, a cheap mobile phone. It auto-dialed as soon as air hit the sensor. The speaker went live. A little girl's voice sobbed. Daddy, help me. Amara's stomach flipped cold. Zara? Zara slept on the couch, breath slow. Right there? The voice sobbed again, not Zara. Clothes wrong. A clipped, stitched together sound with Zara's giggle pulled from an old school video, bent into a pleader. A deep fake. The line clicked. A man whispered in Chui-lilted English. Bring the mother to Marina under bridge by 11. Alone. The witness talks beside her. Or she doesn't talk at all. The phone went dead. Nobody moved for 2 seconds that lasted an hour. Ijeoma found her voice first. They took the witness. They want Nkechi as a swap. Kelechi's hands closed into fists and open again. They won't touch my mother. The DPO was already on the radio. All units, be advised. Kidnap a cooperating witness. Threat to elder. Lock down Marina underbridge. No sirens. We want eyes, not noise. Nkechi looked at the window, at the bead, at the ugly phone cupped in an evidence bag, and then at her son. When she spoke, her voice was as calm as dawn on a day that will still bring rain. Get your files, she said. Dress the child. We will go to court. And then, she added, tie her headscarf with a neat, decisive pull. We will go to Marina. The intercom crackled one last time before morning fully formed. Olga, the guard whispered. A small yellow Kiki just left the back lane. Plate covered. It dropped a note. He read it, faltering. Bring the cleaner by 11. Don't forget to subscribe, and turn on notifications for the finale on African Echoes. Should they risk the Marina meeting or set a trap? What would you do in this revenge story? Choose mercy or pursue maximum consequences? Comment your thoughts on Betrayal and share with someone who loves high-stakes African marriage drama. By 8:45 a.m., the high court smelled of polish and rain. A thin harmattan haze softened the light, but the courtroom's mood was sharp as a razor. Kelechi sat straight beside Barrister Ijeoma, one row back. Nkechi folded her hands in pale lilac oak and watched like a river watches a bridge. Amara waited with a quiet strength that made even the ushers nod. This wasn't gossip anymore. This was law and light. The judge entered. Matters continued. Okafor versus Daramola. Counsel. Ijeoma rose. For the defendant and counterclaimant, my lord, we have filings. Chain of custody affidavit for a flash drive retrieved last night. Sworn statement from witness Vanessa Ofori. Bank exhibits from Silver Loops. And audit logs from Osborne Diagnostics. Opposing counsel, slick as always, adjusted his tie. My lord, we also have a certified ultrasound. Save it, the judge said dry. She slid on her glasses. Lab results filed under seal at 7:53 a.m. The probability of paternity is 0%. Accordingly, the court dismisses Ms. Okafor's application for breach of promise and emotional distress as abusive process and sanctions her for weaponizing alleged pregnancy to cause public disgrace. A shock ran the benches like current. Someone whispered, "Chai." The judge turned the knife of truth gently but firmly. Additionally, the court refers Silver Loops and the clinic audit tampering to the EFCC and police for investigation. Mr. Jai. She glanced at a side door where Cunnell, in rumpled suit, tried to be air. You'll surrender your passports to the registrar today. Miss Okafor, Tonia's seat was conspicuously empty for violating the gag order last night. A bench warrant issues. Bring her before me. Gavel. Next. Outside in the corridor, the city banged on the glass of the moment. Reporters craning from a distance. Phones hungry for African marriage drama. Ijeoma kept her voice low. We go now. Marina. The DPO nodded, already on her radio. Plain clothes on both sides of the bridge. No sirens. Nkechi placed a hand on her son's arm. Promise me something. Anything. If there's a choice between circus and rescue, choose rescue. Kelechi swallowed. Rescue, he said. Always. By 10:58 a.m., Marina Underbridge had gathered the entire city into its noise. Salt air diesel, hawkers pushing gala and pure water, a gent gem from a bus stereo, pigeons beating air under concrete ribs. The lagoon lapped like an old story. The plan was simple, and it was Lego simple, tight, risky, stitched with prayer. Nkechi would walk alone to the midpoint, a woven bag on her arm. Kelechi would shadow the columns. Ijeoma, phone recording, file secure. Plain clothes would be fishermen, Sia men, newspaper vendors. The signal word was pepper. At pepper, the bridge would become a net. Nkechi's footsteps were steady. A Kiki coughed near a pillar and cut its engine. The driver kept his face lowered. From the shadow, Vanessa peered, tired, braid loose, eyes huge. A man's hand gripped her elbow. Mother. A voice with a twee lil floated from behind the kiki, smooth and amused. Welcome. Chief Jose Mensah stepped into the light in linen and sunglasses. Not a rumor, not a voice note. A man. You are smaller than your reputation, he said to Nkechi. And you are smaller than your threats, she answered softly. He smirked. Bring her. The man shoved Vanessa forward. Now the trade. Witness for silence. You will convince your son to drop his little crusade. Otherwise, his eyes flicked toward the water where a dim gray shape bobbed. Something falls. Nkechi's gaze did not leave him. Let the girl come. The man hesitated. Mensah nodded. Vanessa staggered to Nkechi's side, close enough to clutch the woman's wrapper, close enough to weep into it. I'm sorry, she whispered. Nkechi's hand stroked her shoulder once. You came home. That is enough. Mensah tilted his chin. Now, mother, your part. Tell your son to walk away. From the second shadow, a second kiki blurted a horn, 2 short beeps. The DPO's voice rode the wind, almost lazy. I wouldn't. Mensah's smile did not reach his eyes. You people like camera, but contracts like mine are signed in places courts don't visit. From the pillars, 2 supposed fishermen shifted. The DPO's hand relaxed at her side. Kelechi counted his breath. 1, 2. Say it, Mensah coaxed. Tell him to stop. Or, he raised 2 fingers, Pepper. Nkechi glanced at the hawker selling Adoroto near the pillar and allowed herself the ghost of a smile. You want Pepper? She asked gently. Pepper. The bridge exploded with police. Plain clothes dropped their disguises. Vests flashed. Boots pounded. The man at Vanessa's elbow snapped a blade from nowhere, then dropped when the DPO's baton cracked his wrist like wood. Hands where I can see them. Officers shouted in a braided chorus. The kiki lunged, wheels spinning. An officer leaped, grabbed the frame, and wrenched the keys free. 2 men bolted toward the water's edge. A third shoved Nkechi, and stumbled when her bag slammed his knee with the precision of a mother who has carried loads and children and will kneecap any hand that threatens either. Kelechi emerged from behind the column, like a storm given legs. He caught Vanessa as she lost her footing. You're okay, he said, more prayer than statement. Mensah turned, surprise finally cracking his polish. He reached for his phone. Ijeoma lifted hers first, voice clear and legal. Chief Jose Mensah, consider yourself recorded. We have you on a solicitation of interference with a witness, extortion, and conspiracy to commit fraud across borders. Nigerian police on scene. Ghana liaison notified. The DPO was already snapping cuffs. ECOWAs or no, you're spending today in custody. Mensah smiled again, small, unbelieving. Do you people know who I am? Nkechi's answer was soft as ground, hard as granite. Yes, that's why the paper is ready before your mouth. For a heartbeat, everything froze. Sweat, diesel, a gull hanging in the vibrating air. Then the bridge exhaled. Officers led men away. A plain sedan rolled out from under a distant shade. Interpol liaison. Phones filmed from a safe distance. The city angled for a glimpse of a revenge story turning toward consequences instead of chaos. Vanessa clung to Nkechi. I thought. You are here, Nkechi said, resting her palm on the girl's head a moment. That is enough. Kelechi looked down the line of pillars until the whole shape of his life clicked into sense. The woman who raised him anchoring strangers, the mother of his child watching from a safe distance with arms crossed in relief, the law walking on 2 feet and making a road through water. Let's go home, he said. By late afternoon, Lagos rain came, big, forgiving drops that tamped dust and cooled roofs. Back at the mansion, the generator went quiet because PHCN decided to be generous, and the steady city current hummed through walls and children's shoulders and soup pots alike. EFCC officers had come and gone with Cunnell, recovered drives under arm. A clerk had delivered the judge's orders, sharp, clean pages that named truths like saints. A bank email landed, 2. Line reinstated upon receipt of your supporting documents. Thank you for your transparency. Money was not friendship, but it respected paper. In the kitchen, Nkechi lifted a lid on a pot of egusi. Zara stood on a stool, stirring with concentration. "Grandma," she said, solemn, "am I the torch or the farmer today?" "Today you are the stew," Nkechi said, eyes smiling. "You make peace enter the house by smell." Amara laughed softly at the sink. It was a kind of laugh that had space in it again. She met Kelechi's eyes and nodded once. Respect, boundaries, a future built on steady, not spectacle. "Co-parenting pickup still Sunday at noon," she said. "No cameras. No noise." "Always," he said. "And thank you." In the sitting room, Ijeoma stitched the last threads. Vanessa's sworn statement filed. Police report signed. Request for asset freeze orders on the shell accounts drafted. Notification to social platforms to take down Dr. Text queued. This was the unglamorous part of a domestic betrayal that the internet won't applaud. Receipts, signatures, and a mother somewhere retwisting a child's braid. The doorbell chimed. The DPO stood with a small smile and the weariness of a woman who has walked both sides of a bridge. "Mensa is in custody," she reported. "Ghana liaison confirms a warrant prepared to welcome him home. Your ex-CFO is talking already." Tonia was picked up at a studio on the mainland for contempt and fraud questioning. Her lawyer is busy. "And Vanessa?" Nkechi asked. "Safe house," the DPO said. 2 officers outside. "She'll testify. After that, we help her find new work far from ring lights." Nkechi took the officer's hand in both of hers. "You use pepper well." The DPO chuckled. "I only carry the spoon, Ma." When she left, the house quieted into something like a hymn. Zara's voice drifted down the corridor as she read to her doll. Amara and Ijeoma debated whether palm oil belonged in that particular stew. Kelechi stood at the balcony with the rain, letting it needle his skin and wash the adrenaline out. His phone buzzed. A new message, unknown number, Accra code. He almost didn't open it. Then he did. "You won today. Check the second Marina. We never put all our fish in one basket." He stared into the rain until the text blurred. There was always another net, another hand, another shadow under the bridge. Lagos never ran out of power plays. But he had learned what he needed to keep his name and his child's world steady. Evidence over emotion, co-parenting over clout, law and light over a louder lie. Behind him, Nkechi stepped out with a towel. "Come and eat," she said. "Even a good man is foolish on an empty stomach." He smiled. "Yes, Ma." They sat. They passed bowls. Steam rose like a prayer the house could taste. For a brief, rare moment, the revenge story set down its sword and picked up a spoon. They ate as if eating were proof that tomorrow still belonged to them. A courier motorbike buzzed to a stop at the gate. The guard signed and brought in a small package, no return address. Inside, a clean flash drive and a note made of clipped newspaper letters. For the next chapter, "Don't sleep." The drive lay on the table, square as a promise and as dangerous as a rumor. Ijeoma exhaled. Kelechi's jaw set. Nkechi reached across the table and covered the device with the palm of her hand, as if to bless or bind it. "Tomorrow," she said calmly. "Tonight we let the stew cool." Outside, the rain thickened and Lagos blinked her neon eyes. Somewhere under another bridge, someone else was planning a headline. But here, in this room, a family closed ranks around a little girl, a name, and a pot of food. Whatever came would meet them fed. Thank you for riding this storm with African echoes. If this domestic betrayal and infidelity and marriage saga gripped you, don't forget to subscribe, and turn on notifications for more African marriage drama. What should happen if that new drive holds a bigger conspiracy, maximum consequences, or a second chance? Comment your thoughts on betrayal, and share this with someone who loves a good revenge story with real co-parenting conflict and public disgrace stakes.